You were talking about imagination, that intuition can be imagination. And you did an intuitive coaching with me, and we do like the Envision, which is kind of like an active imagination guided by your coach, me. And do you want to share what was your experience and what you liked about it or didn't like?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I think I wrote this to you, but I just want to say, when we went into the session, I actually didn't really know what it was all about, right? So I was kind of like, I'm not really sure what I'm getting myself into here, but I really loved your energy, and I trusted you. So, and I felt that you were so, you just had, you have a very authoritative yet kind way of drawing someone into the process. That was kind of my first impression of you, was like, okay, I feel almost like exactly what you said about listening to my recordings, right? I really felt like you know what you're doing. I'm safe with you. You have everything set up for me, and I'm not like, oh my gosh, what do I have to do beforehand? So I felt comfortable showing up to the session, not really knowing what what was going to happen. And that's hard for me because I have trust issues.
Yeah, wanting to, yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people do, right? Mm-hmm. We all like, well, I want to know, what is it? But
I want to know.
I definitely, yeah. So I'll tell you, no.
Yeah.
So, and then when you described it as being this visualization process, and you asked me, do you have trouble with visualization ever? And I was like, well, and then you said, well, don't worry, because nobody has ever come in here and not, no one's ever gone through this process with me and not visualized. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to be the first one. I'm going to screw it all up, right? And so we began the process, and I didn't see anything at first. I was like, it's black. I see like some orangey colors behind my eyes, but I'm not seeing anything. And you were just so masterful at helping me get myself in a place where I could overcome, because now I realize, that was the mind trying to stop me from being able to get in touch with my intuition. Yeah. And you did a fantastic job of, directing me in the visualization to a place where I could actually start seeing things. And then we were off and running. And it was
it was fascinating. And you saw such specific things, and you saw so clearly, and you felt it vividly. I was like, I was amazed. I could see it with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually am getting goosebumps thinking about it. I was telling a friend about it because I was saying, it's like you for instance, you had said, like, what kind of shoes are you wearing? And I felt myself looking down in my visualization and seeing a particular pair of shoes, and they weren't the right pair. So we switched them, and it was like, that's amazing. Like how, because, you guided me through, I think this is the other piece that was really mind-blowing for me, is that because I'm that person who does want to know a lot, and I like to, be prepared, even though, like I said, I like to be fly by the seat of my pants. So maybe it's a bit of a paradox, but I felt like I would get nervous with you listening to me try to articulate things, that it would be a problem, but it was not a problem at all. I felt so comfortable in your presence and with your guidance to just be like, okay, well, let me look in this direction and see what appears. And like, oh, there's something there.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done that on my own. You know what I mean? That was not a process that I could have just sat down and meditated for a while and come up with that. It absolutely needed you to be guiding me and asking me questions and letting me look at the things and, letting me communicate with whatever I saw. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Once you're in there, if you don't have a guide, I mean, you could do some of it on your own. But there's only so much you can do because you're in there and you're kind of experiencing and you're getting information. It could be specific information for your business, for your love life, and it can get really juicy and interesting. But if you don't have a guide to ask the right question, I mean, goblins can show up and then, there's a whole goblin party in there. And then you can snap out of it and say, what the heck is that? So yeah, I mean, I still have coaches that I work with, and actually every week I meet with my coaches, and I get deeper into it when I do have a guide. But what I was going to say too is that, you did amazing. That's amazing what you saw in this full hour together. But it gets easier too. The more you do it, the more quickly you get in, because then you know how your intuition speaks to you, how it shows you images. And then we also know that if we were to do an envision on something that's particularly challenging or dramatic or emotional, the emotions would show up and would take a lot of space. And that's my role as a coach, is to guide you through that, and even to be able to maybe take a distance and neutralize. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And now you know how it works, so you could probably just get into it really easily. Plus, you're so intuitive. It was just amazing to do that with you. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's, and I think what I loved is that, what you do, it because you help people with a variety of things, it could almost be, and I don't want to say this as a direct comparison, but it could be compared to like life coaching. Mm-hmm. But it's because of this aspect of it, it's not that. Because life coaching, you could get yourself really in your head and be trying to like figure it out. And this really bypasses all of that. That's what makes it so much richer and so much deeper. Yeah. And, because for me, I wouldn't find myself going to a life coach just because I think I'm a good life coach on my own. I've got lots of tools. I know how to change my mindset. You know what I mean? It's not I guess that's really my point. It's not mindset shifts, because the mindset shifts, you absolutely need those to get through life and to be successful. But I've done a ton of work on my mindset over the years, and I feel really confident in those kinds of abilities. So this level that you're going to is so much deeper and so much more, just so much richer. Yeah.
Most coaching is more linear, more like motivating, like I'm going to get you to your goal, but then nothing has changed. You haven't changed, and your life hasn't changed, and you're back to where you were because nothing transformed. The intuitive coaching is really transformational. It starts from within, and the mind shifts happen after. We're not trying to do it. It just happens. Because what happened after your coaching? Things completely shifted, and then you just got a really huge piece. And I'm just going to let you talk about it because it's your thing, but it just happened internally, and then things will manifest differently. You're going to be a star!
Oh my gosh. Like, seriously? So do you want me to kind of describe a little bit about actually what happened, or do you want me to just, not without going into all the details, but kind of talk about the message that I got? Or
yeah, the message and perhaps how it changed things for you, and how it's impacting your life and your business.
Yeah. So that's really funny because, okay, so the message that I got, it's, as you know, I went into the visualization, excuse me, experiencing some like this vague sense of fear, right? And the sort of the fear of like, which is very common amongst all of us, right? Women entrepreneurs, that fear of like failure, or kind of fear of enough success that you'll fail, right? Like I think people, when they say fear of success, they really mean, I fear that I'll succeed and then I'll screw everything up, right? Mm-hmm. So, all of us are constantly dealing with this challenge. It's a very common challenge. But I went in with that sort of, I'm feeling like that vague sense of that, especially because I've been taking myself to a bigger, more visible level. And there's always that, or there has been that goblin, right?
Yeah.
And so as we walked through, I was so, I don't know if I expressed it to you enough when we had our session, but I was so surprised at the, what do you think, like when we went back into a time in my life when this manifested for me, when that goblin, the little fear goblin had come.
Yeah.
And it was a situation from my childhood that I was aware of, that I was like, oh yeah, I remember that time. But I really never thought of it as being something that just, was implanted in my psyche. Mm-hmm. Like this is an example of how when you show up you're going to get embarrassed, you're going to get called out, you're going to look like a fool, and your cheeks are going to feel hot. And so, as you know, it was an experience that happened when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
And it came to me so quickly, too. There was no question that was the experience. And I even imagined the little goblin, like, grabbing the little 8-year-old me and saying, it's okay, come on over here because, you know, you know, you never want to feel that way again. So stay over here with me.
Yeah.
And we'll just be safe over here in our little corner, right?
Yeah.
It was amazing. Because it wasn't also, you know, here's the thing is that it wasn't about, like, if you went to a psychotherapist and tried to, like, analyze things from your childhood, it would be this analysis around, like, what my parents did to me or whatever. And it wasn't like that at all. It had nothing to do with my parents. It had nothing to do with my family dynamics. It had to do with the you know, the goblin trying to save me from something at an early age. And realizing that, even I just realized, like, this is the first Skype interview that I've done since we had our session with anyone. And I've done Skype interviews before that I knew were going to be published. I feel so much more comfortable in this interview than I have ever felt before. Like, I'm not worrying about, does my hair look okay? It probably doesn't, but I don't care. Like, seriously. I'm like, yeah, my hair doesn't look so great today. But honestly, like, I would let that kind of stuff bother me in the past, or I would have some internal voice running that's like, oh, now are you saying that right? Do you look okay? Are you making funny? Did your eye just cross? Because my eyes tend to cross when I look in a certain direction. And just being really more like almost that junior high self-consciousness, you know, right. Which I admitting freely, even though I wouldn't have admitted it before, I'm admitting it now because it's not there, you know? So I feel a definite sense of, like, just feeling more confident putting myself out there and not feeling like, you know, whether someone likes what I have to say or not is not the problem. It's not a challenge for me. It doesn't matter. People can like it or they cannot, but I'm showing up. I'm just showing up as me.
Yeah. So would you say that you feel more confident, more calm? How does it feel?
Calm. I mean, definitely calm. Really, honestly, because I feel very much like I can trust. Here's the other thing. I feel like I can trust my intuition to just give me the right thing to say, and I can listen to you more carefully rather than feeling like I'm listening to you and going, okay, what am I going to say next? Hopefully I say something really wise. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very, this is a challenge, and I'm sharing this, like, really honestly, because I know you're going to, you know, share this with others, and I want them to understand as well that, you know, I've done a lot of interviews, and I've been in front of people, and I've been putting myself out there, and you can do it without feeling that sense of calm and peace. But the difference between feeling, you know, stressed out and feeling like I just said, am I saying the right thing? Do I look okay? You know, or even if that's getting online on Facebook or getting on your website and hoping that you say the right thing, feeling the sense of just certainty and calm about, you know what, intuitive wisdom is just going to guide me. Yeah. It's going to be fine. Is such a, like, it's a great feeling. It feels very, it feels very light. You know what I mean, in my body. So, yeah.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. If you can tap into your inner confidence, inner strength, inner joy, whatever it is that the person need, if you can tap into that, and the sum of all of that, I call the inner goddess, and stay connected, then you show up.
Yes.
As such in your life, and you create from that place, and that's completely different than creating from fear. And the thing that you said also about having this goblin that you thought you had dealt with, it's amazing how things show up for us to take care of it, because you were willing to, because you did the intuitive coaching. But this is the reason why a lot of people don't change. You know, they think that they can just read books or not do the work and that things will change. No, at some point you got to bring things to the light. And by the way, goblins, because we haven't explained what it is, but it's all over my website. But a goblin is is kind of like an archetype or a part of us that really doesn't serve us. It could be a sabotager, or for you it was like a protector, overprotector, that didn't want you to shine your light and to be this amazing teacher that you are. So goblins come in all kinds of ways, but you can often recognize them. That's what I told you. I said from now on, whenever you hear what your goblin was saying in the in-vision, you will always recognize it, because it might show up again in your life. But then you're going to see the image you saw in the active imagination. You'll recognize it. And oh yes, what did we do? We gave him a kitten.
I was going to say that was the cutest part ever was seeing my goblin like playing with his little kitty, right?
Yes.
And you told me like anytime he shows up, you tell him to go play with his kitty, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can do that.
So yeah, I realize that what we're talking about can be a little abstract for people that are listening. But at the same time, it's going to give them a visual of what happens. And thank you for that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that also, what you said at the beginning, that you weren't sure how to go about this. This is giving me an idea to shoot another video and to explain the process. Although I did put a video up there of an entire coaching, so I'll remind people that they can look at that, because, I mean, what is intuitive coaching? You know, it can be a little abstract, but you've given us a really clear picture, so thank you for that and sharing that. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I really did want to share that really openly and freely, especially because I want to point out that, again, when I came to you, it wasn't even like I consciously thought, oh, I have a confidence problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like we get so just clothed in our fears or our, whatever our not shortcomings, I shouldn't say that, but the things that hold us back. We get so clothed in them and we don't even know they're there. We just think like that's just how I am, or that's just part of life, or and you don't realize that, oh, there's another alternative. Oh, I could actually get rid of that. Oh, I didn't realize that. So I think it's important to stress that it's not, it's not for I mean, it could be, obviously this is you say who it's for, but it doesn't necessarily have to, it could be for someone who has a lot of challenges, but it could also be for someone who's walking around thinking, I don't really have a lot of challenges, like I'm okay, like I'm good, like I am, like you said, I'll just read a book or I'll do whatever. And I think it's really valuable. So
yeah.
But
I just wanted to say that before I rang you, I picked a card, and it was the Magician card. And I think that's for you and me, and it's also the tone of our interview. And it says, you're ready. You have the resources and the ability to manifest anything you want. Life is magical. So woohoo!
Wow, I love it.